Welcome back to another edition of the Talking National League podcast. Episode 27 it is on this Thursday evening. Now, I'm pleased to be joined by Kobe. If you want to find his YouTube channel, I'll try leave a link in the description after this video is live. Kobe, do you want to have the honours of talking a bit about what you do on YouTube?
So I am an Aldershot orientated channel, so I vlog every Aldershot game home and away. I go to other games when I can here and there, but we've got some exciting stuff coming up on the channel very soon. We are 100 subscribers away from 1,000, so that's the goal. And then as soon as we do that, then got some big things coming. So yeah, make sure to go and hit that subscribe button.
Now it's my turn to give my channel a pull. Then I think it's the word you use. So if you haven't subscribed already, I would really appreciate it. We are on the road to 1,000 like Kobe is at the moment. Some big videos coming out very, very soon. I'm in the middle of making a Scunthorpe United. I don't know if I'd classify it as a documentary, a bit of a video. I've interviewed a few Scunthorpe United fans, got a bit more information about what's going on there. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Once again, please drop this podcast a like and subscribe and get involved in that live chat too as we preview all the upcoming games in the National League. Now, I do believe it is game week 28. And before I do that, I've just realised I haven't actually uploaded SofaScore onto the internet. So you're going to have to bear with me for 2 minutes as we do that.
Dear
but
me.
Kobe, just as I do that, do you want to give us a bit of an insight to what's going on at Aldershot at the moment?
I mean, Aldershot at the minute, we're on back-to-back wins. We've just beaten Solihull on a freezing cold Tuesday night in Birmingham. I'm glad that I don't have to go back there again this season. But after a poor run of games, the losing against Woking 2 times in a row was made for a very sad time. And then we lost to Notts County, we lost to Dagenham and Redbridge, and then everyone starts getting on the players' backs because Aldershot, we shouldn't be anywhere near where we are right now. The size of the club and everything, our history, we deserve to be a lot higher up. But yes, it's a weird place to be right now. It's just weird because one league win and everyone's just celebrating, and then one league loss and everyone's booing the players off. And, it's just one of those very up and down.
Yeah.
It's like a seesaw.
Yeah, it's difficult at the moment. Just looking a quick at where Aldershot are at the moment, down in 17th. You look comfortable from, that bottom 4. I don't think that's too much of a concern. Would you agree with that? And the only thing you would say is, although, Halifax are only 3 points above you, I think from 15th onwards, there isn't really any of those sides below 15th that you could ever, and maybe you'd include Halifax and York in that equation, that could potentially break into the playoffs. I look at Aldershot at the moment. Yeah. They just seem, I don't know if you could use the word stable because of the current situation, but they just seem like they're fine, get to the end of the season. I think this was the same of last season, survive, rebuild for the following season.
Yeah, I'm not worried about relegation in the slightest, to be honest. We have some fans saying, there's a big chance for us going down. A lot of people are backing us to go down, and I just don't see us going down in the slightest. The players that we have, our squad is too good to go down, in my opinion. We always seem to be very on and off, like we'll win 4 games and then we'll lose 4 games. So I'm not worried. I genuinely think we'll finish mid-table. We're not going to push for the playoffs. We're not going to get relegated. That's why my main concern is the cup.
Yeah, I've had a few people come in the chat. Lucas, who is a Wealdstone supporter, welcome to the stream, or maybe not after what you've just said. Now I'm only joking. The Stones are going to destroy Shaman on Saturday. Up the Stones. If you are making the journey up, good luck to you, and fair play for making the journey up too. We've had someone else come in. Why do fans not realise that getting on the backs of players in tough times doesn't help? Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think, remember when Halifax were having a bit of a sticky patch at the start of the season, you're getting fans on the players' back. At the moment we still have them. Yes, we have improved, but obviously there's a few teasing problems, which there's with every club, and I think sometimes it is slightly unnecessary. But yeah, I totally get what you mean. Kobe, what's your take on that? What's your fan thoughts on getting on the players' backs? Because we've seen that often this season at Aldershot, where supporters have been getting on the players' back and maybe taking the frustration out on the players when potentially they should be taking it out on the owners, etc.
Yeah, I really disagree with like booing the players off at the end of the game because it's not going to help in the slightest. If anything, it's just going to make the situation worse. I can understand that people are frustrated after a loss, etc. But I mean, I never ever target anything towards the players. Like, if anyone ever sees my videos, I always cut those parts out and stuff because I just don't agree with the negativity towards the players. If anything, after a loss, you should be just sat there going, "We're not unlucky, boys," because sometimes you can go and have an awful performance, but you've got to kind of encourage. Otherwise, it just creates a negative environment and just makes it worse.
Yeah, everyone does have bad games, and I think that's something that we all have to agree with. No player's intentionally not going to play well. You know, even me, when I've played Sunday League before, obviously it's a totally different scenario, different level. I'm not getting paid. I'm enjoying it. I'm sure National League players do enjoy playing. I'm not saying that for the slightest. But no one's going to intentionally not want to play well and want to be booed at the end of the match. And I don't think it's fair. I think at times, you shouldn't be applauding. I'm not saying clapping them when they've just lost 5-0 away from home. But is it always necessary for you to be booing them off the field? I personally don't feel it is. As we are on the topic, we were talking a bit about this before we did go live. Now, Kobe, I was going to ask you now, but we'll allow the chat to get involved with this and we'll do it at the end. Kobe, I'll ask for your who you think it's going to be at the end. But anyone guess what shirt I'm wearing tonight? We're going to try this every week now. I've got so many shirts in my wardrobe. We're going to go through every single one and ask the guest what shirt I've got on tonight. So, yeah, anyone in the comments, just put your predictions in now and we'll do it at the end. Kobe will ask you at the end too. What shirt have you got on tonight then, Kobe?
I've got the Aldershot home shirt from this season. I love it. I love it so much. If you can, I don't know if you can see very well, but all these dotted lines here and names of like supporters that have paid to get their names on the shirt, and then it's just honestly, this is my favourite shirt that I've Aldershot have had from what I've seen.
We've got working fans tuning in, and you're going on about the Aldershot shirt. We've had Ali, who is a working fan, in fact, who's come in tonight and said, "Up the working." Darryl Styles taking us all the way. Yeah, they certainly could be at the moment. Third in the league.
No, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, okay. We'll talk. We will talk a bit about working, but maybe not yet. We've had another one that has come in. Who's a Maidstone fan? Don't ask me to pronounce the name because I don't know. No offense to you whatsoever. Cheers for tuning in once again. Who do you think should be the new Maidstone manager? That's quite an interesting question. That it's one that's quite hard to answer at the moment, especially off the top of my head. That could be a topic. And Kobe, I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but is there any potential managers that potentially Mark Mosley being one that you could rumour with the job? I'm not too sure.
Mark Mosley's already moved on to a club in the lower leagues, but it's very hard appointing a manager because everyone's so quickly to dismiss a manager when you're not doing well. But if you go, who are we going to replace him with? Everyone's like, well, I don't know, because it is such a hard process. If anybody did specifically know, then obviously it would never really be an issue. But there are a few decent managers out on the market right now. I know it'll be a very, very tough one to get, but the old York manager, is it John Askey? I can't particularly
John Askey, that's it. Yeah,
he would be a very good one.
We'll have what we will do to gain a bit of knowledge on that situation too is what we'll do. We'll have a look at a few of the odds on who is the favourite to be the next Maidstone manager throughout this show. Another name that has popped to my mind, and I believe he's probably gone back to BT now, but Chris Hargreaves, who was obviously sacked by Yeovil, he might be a potential rumour to the club. It's quite hard at the moment to be predicting one, but yeah, we'll get back to that question later on in the show. People have come in with their predictions. I won't say if you've got it or not, but yeah, I think you have, to be honest. But the next one is, after not having a shot on target away at Halifax last season, they're really boring away day. It doesn't really attract me, but my love for the Stones will probably make me go, yeah, fair play to you for making the journey up. And you're a lot better side, I will add to that, and we're probably a lot weaker side than what we were last season. So the tides have certainly changed since then. So, yeah, I wouldn't say hopefully, as I am a Halifax fan, but maybe from your perspective, you'll be hoping for a better result on Saturday, but let's hope you don't. Yeah, we've had another one. Neil Smith seems popular among the fans. But yeah, let's get into previewing all the upcoming National League games. And please feel free to leave your predictions as we do go through this, give your thoughts on various topics that we may talk about tonight too. And yeah, if you're also watching this as a video afterwards, not as a podcast, which I'm sure most people probably do, please remember to drop the podcast a like, and also let us know your thoughts in the comments too. But I think let's start with Bournemouth versus Torquay then. So Bournemouth out of form at the moment. Torquay United, well, I think it's been the story of their season, consistently out of form, which is quite a hard term to use at the moment. A team that I would say lacks quality. Both sides haven't played in the league, I don't think, for quite a while now. I think it was 7th of Jan since both sides last played. Kobe, what's your take on this game?
I think this is going to be a very weird one, to be fair. Boreham normally are a decent side at home. And you would normally back a Boreham winning this situation, but Torquay are really fighting for their lives at the minute, sitting 22nd in the relegation zone. So you'd think they're going to be up for this. Or yeah, as I said, Boreham are a good home side, and anytime I go to write off Torquay, they end up doing well. Aldershot played Torquay, got absolutely trounced by them. So my memories of Torquay aren't the greatest.
Mm-hmm. I know last time Bournemouth did play, I do apologise, it was the 10th of Jan, now looking, and it was a 1-1 draw away at Notts County. I do remember that game. Very strong point for them. I remember that being one of the only games I think was actually on that Tuesday night, and it was a 1-1 draw, and it was when Wrexham were playing Bromley, and Wrexham came back from being 1-0 down to defeat them. But yeah, Bournemouth, like we've said, they're always well known to be good at home. However, this season it has seemed to have turned where they're better away from home than what they are at home. But Torquay United, you look at them at the moment. The last time they played in the league was, of course, when they were defeated by Halifax. No, not defeated by Halifax. I mean, they defeated Halifax at home. I do wish we did defeat them, but unfortunately not. I don't know if it's a question of building on that now, or if you could. I don't think from a Torquay's perspective you could ever say, it was just a lucky game, it was a fluke game. I think what you've got to take it as, it's a good win against a strong Halifax side. Although they're not the best away from home, it's still a good win at home against the Halifax side. And now we've got to build on that away at a side like Bournemouth, who are fairly inconsistent at home. You know, you look at Bournemouth at the moment, they're 12th in the league, and a lot of that is down to the shaky home form at the moment. And I think when you look at Torquay away from home, they do have a slightly better away record this season than what they have at home. So they'll be looking to build on that. If you were to give a prediction, Kobe, what would that be?
It's very hard because Torquay do have the momentum going into this match in terms of they've just won back-to-back games. I know one of them was Taunton, but scoring 4 goals against any side still gives you that confidence going into the next game. So I think Torquay are going to get a point out of this.
I'm going
to go 1-0. I'm going to go 1-0.
That wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. I think Torquay, you'll be wanting to build off that win, I think, at home. I just wanted to get up here the odds on the game. I think, yeah, Bournemouth, as we expected, are the favourites for this game at 91 to 100. From my perspective, if I was to give a prediction on this, I think you look at Bournemouth, it's a game that they feel they must win if they're wanting to contend with, those playoff rivals around them. For me, I'd probably be back in Bournemouth. I think being at home, Torquay, yes, getting that win at Halifax, I think, I wouldn't say quite fortunate. I just think we were that poor and they took advantage of that, which, yes, I think is good signs from them. But away from home at Bournemouth, I'd be fancying Bournemouth at home. From my perspective, I think they've got the quality there and the experience there to deal with games like this where they are strong favourites like the bookies have put them. So, yeah, I'd be expecting Bournemouth to win this game. Probably go for a narrow 1-0 win. I don't think it'll be an easy game for Bournemouth at all. But, yeah, I'd be going for a 1-0 Bournemouth win. The next game, so we head over to your club then. I know it's an away game that you are dreading, Kobe. Bromley versus Aldershot. You've not missed an away game this season. You're not planning on missing this one, but maybe you won't be wanting to go next season after you've been. Just from what you've said, that's not me at all to any Bromley fans that may be watching. But yeah, what's your take on this?
Yeah, as you just said, I'm not particularly looking forward to going to Bromley because I don't particularly rate Bromley as the nicest ground. I prefer an away end where you've got a roof over your head so you can generate an atmosphere, to be honest. When you're in the open atmospheres, it doesn't create the best away day. But I'm relatively confident going into this. Bromley are obviously a very good home side. Aldershot are now on, I say 2-game unbeaten run. It's not much, but we do have some momentum going into this. I think at most Aldershot could sneak a draw. We do have players that can do well in this fixture. Joe Parzyt will be facing his former side, and when we did come up against Bromley at the end, Bromley beat us 1-0, but it was just one of those days where we could not get the ball in the net, and realistically, we should have got minimum a draw, and I think we could have won that. So there's a chance.
Yeah, just looking at Bromley and looking at their recent form, a 4-1 win at home to Yeovil, I see that as job done and beyond to get a win at home against Yeovil. I think it shows quite a lot of strength for them. You look at Dennis at the moment, a really strong player, I think, for Bromley. And I think it is a tough game, I think, at home to Yeovil. And I think it was job well done for them to get all 3 points and score 4 goals at home against them. They'll be wanting to replicate that against Aldershot, who, of course, have the potential for an upset. Like you said, that front line is quite deadly, I think, for Aldershot. Yes, you've lost Vincent, who's gone back to Notts County now, but you've still got Amaluza, Inyeffinyong, Ryan Glover's still there. There's a lot of good players, and I think winning away at someone like Solihull aside that have been on this significant downward spiral for quite a while now, I honestly feel they can try build on this now, go to somewhere like Bromley, and potentially, for me, I think, get a point. Yes, Bromley are the favourites according to the odds, but it wouldn't surprise me if Aldershot did get a point. And for me, I'd be going for a 1-1 draw. I think Aldershot going forward have a lot of strength, and I think if they can take the chances on the day, I think they'll be fine. And I think, yes, you look at Bromley, yes, quite on decent form at the moment, but also quite inconsistent, which they have been throughout the season. And I think, from my perspective, I'd be going for a draw. I think Aldershot have the quality to get something out of this game. What would your final prediction be then?
It's tough because Aldershot have drawn the least games out of everybody this season. We've only actually drawn 2 games, which is against Scunthorpe and Eastleigh. But I will be backing us to get a draw. It's a tough one because not having drawn many games this season, the chance of it being a draw is very, very thin. But as you can see there, the head-to-head versus the 2 teams is very close. Yeah, I'm going to sit on the fence again with this one. I'm going to go for 1-1 draw. Mm-hmm. I think Inyeffinyong's now on 10 league goals this season, so I'm going to back him to get another one. Could have had a hat-trick in like half an hour as well on Tuesday.
I said at the start of the season when I looked at Inyeffinyong, I thought that's a cracking signing for Aldershot to get it from a rival like Woking, who has proven in the past that he can be prolific. Dover rated him very highly when he was there. Didn't really kick on at Notts County, Woking a little shaky, a little inconsistent, had his moments of spells there where he looked decent, but seems to be finding his feet at Aldershot now and really enjoying his football again, and is becoming that prolific striker, which Aldershot have needed for a number of seasons now, in my opinion. And I think you look at the form there, you look at Bromley's form, I think strong form, considering that one loss was against the Wrexham side that haven't lost a home league game for over a year, probably heading towards 2 years now, the way they're going. But yeah, I think for me, I think Aldershot have the potential to get something out of this game with that forward line. And of course, play like someone you highly rate, I know as well, Tyler Cordner at the back. I think there's enough there for them to get something out of the game, in my opinion. Let's just have a quick look, as I haven't recently had a look at the chat. Please keep your comments coming through. If you are watching, like I said, as a video afterwards, please feel free to get your comments down below too. So Zach's joined the stream. We've had looking forward to Saturday. Probs another win for them, for The Brom. Yeah, we've got that's a Bromley fan, that is. But then again, I often see you at Torquay games, so quite an interesting equation that is. We've had Chris who's come in Chesterfield 2 versus Notts. It wouldn't be good for Wrexham AFC. So I'm guessing you're a Wrexham supporter. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, that's a game I'll be keeping an eye out, and of course we'll be previewing it later on in the stream too. Someone said Chesterfield versus Notts will be a boring 1-1 draw. Chris Gosling's come in and said, doubt it to the Maidstone supporter, for two teams have scored 118 goals between them so far this season. Yeah, it's a lot when you think of that statistic. Dale's came in. Welcome to the stream, Dale. A new face we've seen. Chesterfield V Notts County won't be 0-0. There's too much talent on show there. Dale's also come in and said, we have scored 42 away goals so far and won 9 games so far this season. Chris Gosling's come back in. I'm trying to get through all of these as quick as I can. Talking on Vincent, how was he at Aldershot? I'm intrigued as to why we recalled him when we have an absence of midfielders. Yeah, just quickly on that, how would your reaction be to that?
I think Frank Vincent was actually a very good player for us. I think the reason that he's gone back is Aldershot. I think it might be because Aldershot didn't want to extend this. I'm not too sure. I think I've heard a few rumours that we might potentially be going in to buy Frank Vincent. So be keeping tabs on that one. But yeah, Frank Vincent as a player for us was brilliant. He also followed me on Instagram. So I'm very, very happy with his spell at Aldershot. But no, I don't know if he's quite ready to be in that Notts County midfield, which was why I was very confused when he went back. But as a team maybe pushing for pushing for the back end of the playoffs or a mid-table team, I think he'll do an absolutely wonderful job.
Mm-hmm. We've had someone else come in. Stay blessed. Nice quote. Chesterfield are massive. Some may agree, some may not. Someone's come in and said Maidstone 1, Wrexham 3. And then the Maidstone fans come in again. If Notts play like they did in the FA Trophy, regardless of the team they played, then Chesterfield will get results. And yeah, what you've also got to think, and I don't want to talk too much on this game because I want to talk about it in a little more detail later, but the reverse fixture, Chesterfield managed to get a point out of that game. And I do recall them being 2-0 up in that game too. But yeah, please keep your comments coming in too. And let's head on to the next game, Eastleigh versus York. Now, this is a game for me that's quite interesting because you look at both sides mid-table at the moment. York City 14th, been on a horrendous form recently. I think it was only a couple of weeks ago we were actually talking about them potentially breaking into that relegation scrap. I think they've proven me wrong on when I said that, but they got a 4-1 win against Maidstone, which was strong. And then obviously in the FA Trophy recently, took Chelmsford to penalties and won there. Don't know how serious York City will be taking the FA Trophy. Eastleigh, on the other hand, 11th in the table at the moment. Always had strong home form this season. When I look at them, the 4th best home form in the division. I think I've said this every week. Wrexham, Notts County and Chesterfield are the only sides that have had better home form than them this season. And then being at home to a York City side that are inconsistent, to say the least, and recently been on horrendous form despite that 4-1 recent win against Maidstone. I would be fancying Eastleigh at home in this game. What would your take be on it?
Yeah, I didn't back Eastleigh at home the other day to Dorking, and then Eastleigh go and score a goal inside 7 seconds. So I'm going to be backing Eastleigh for this one. As you said, they're an extremely good home side. They were unbeaten until not too long ago, I think it was. So yeah, I think Eastleigh will go out with another point to prove. They'll be wanting to break into those playoff spots and just teach York a lesson. So yeah, I'm backing an Eastleigh win here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've also got Eastleigh at the moment. A player that I'm keeping tabs on is Alfie Lloyd. He's on great form at the moment. Got the goal against Wealdstone on the first minute, in fact, and that's quite ironic considering the previous game he scored within 30 seconds against Dorking. So 3 goals in his past 2 games. Well, 3 goals in 2 games, yeah. In the league, that is. And then heading into this game, he'd be fancying his chances. I'd be expecting him to start once again against York City. But York have that quality. They have Pybus in the midfield, the Shop, which they like to call him up front, who's John Lewis, of course. A fairly decent striker at this level. I think Eastleigh being at home, though, I look at just quick add on that odds. I think it's quite interesting the fact that they're favouring York to win this game. What would your take be on those odds?
I just heavily disagree, to be honest. I don't get how a team that's in such good home form like Eastleigh be under the odds the odds are against them to win the match. If I was a betting man, I'll be putting some money on that game for Eastleigh to win because, yeah, as we've mentioned, Eastleigh are an incredible home side. York aren't on the greatest form at the minute. Well, they've started to pick up points, but as you were saying a few weeks ago, they could break into that relegation scrap. So, yeah, I'm just baffled, to be honest.
Would you consider these 2 sides as still playoff contenders?
I don't think York are playoff contenders anymore. Under John Askey, I think York would have been playoff contenders, and I heartedly believe that they would still be in the playoffs if he didn't get sacked, which everyone still questions to this day, to be honest. But Eastleigh have a chance of breaking in. There is normally that 7th team that is always up for grabs. It could be Wealdstone, it could be Eastleigh. There's a few teams around that mix, but yeah, not for me. I don't think York will get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's hard to say, but I think considering where York are currently positioned and how inconsistent they've been, and the fact that win came against a Maidstone side that are struggling themselves and lack quality, I'd probably agree with you on that, and I'd probably add that they're not part of that playoff equation at the moment. But the next game is Halifax versus Wealdstone. We'll look at the chat straight after this, but Wealdstone are the favourites. I don't know what to think of that whatsoever. I think you look at Halifax at the moment, they're unbeaten in 7 at home so far this season. There's been 1 point, and that was against Altrincham, which was obviously quite recent. Away form's a totally different story at the moment. But what would your take be on this?
I think it's a very evenly matched game, to be fair. Wealdstone, part-time side, nobody expected Wealdstone to be doing this well this season at all. They've got some brilliant players. They've just signed Corey Andrews, who didn't do too well at Torquay, but his time at Aldershot, he was an unbelievable player, and I reckon that Maynard will be able to get the best out of him. So it'll be interesting to see what he could do in a game like this. He'll be going out with a point to prove, not being given too much of a chance at Torquay. Jack Cook at the back, Max Kretschmar. I'm not too sure if he's going to be playing, but if he plays for Wealdstone, then could be fancying an away win here. I hate to break it to you.
Yeah, I wouldn't be so well. I think that's hard to say on Halifax at the moment. Just to show everyone the standings who may be watching, these are the current standings. Wealdstone just outside of those playoffs at the moment. Halifax down in 15th. I think saw someone do one of those animated videos recently, and I know Halifax were part of that playoff equation when they did that. And it was about the playoff race, and it was from Halifax upwards. And Wealdstone, of course, were part of that. And they were another side. I honestly think there probably isn't enough there for Wealdstone to break in the playoffs. That might come back to bite me. I think it shows character considering they had a good start. They fell off and then they've built back the form up at the moment. I'll have to put my phone on silent. But yeah, ninth at the moment. I think they're doing fairly decent, and they've got games in hand on the likes of Altrincham, who are just below them. Kretschmar, like you've mentioned in there. Stuart Maynard, probably one of the most highly rated managers, I think, in 100%. This division at the moment. And I think, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if Wealdstone got something out of this game. But I think Halifax being at home, you have to put that into consideration. Halifax are a very strong side at home. They always have been. They have been for a number of seasons now. 7 games at home without being beaten. And I think what you've also got to think is before that we were struggling. And I think shows character for us to get 7 games without being unbeaten at home. And I think Wealdstone, you look at sides even above them who we've managed to get points off at home. Chesterfield have been one of those teams above them. Dagenham, who obviously in the playoffs now, we beat them at home, and other sides, Boreham Wood, always good away from home this season, one of the best away records in the division. I'd be expecting Halifax to win this game at home. I think they need to be shaken. I think Chris Millington needs to get his act together in this game after the recent performances, and I think they will do. I think it is the last straw when you lose to a team like Torquay United away from home, and that's no disrespect to them. And picking up 1 point in 3 games, I don't think that's acceptable. And I think being at home, it's back to the drawing board against Wealdstone, who are a tough side, a tough physical side. I'd be expecting Halifax to win this game. So yeah, I think there's enough there with the new signings that have recently come in as well for Halifax to win this game, in my opinion. So I'll probably let's go for a repeat of last season, a 2-0 Halifax win. We'll quickly have a look at the chat and see what people have been saying recently. We've had Chris has come in. He said, could you read that out, Kobe? I do apologise. It's just it's quite small on my screen.
Yeah, I can read that. He said, I'd say we were a more polished team than we were in the fixture, Joe, but performances in the last few weeks not been good as they were before Christmas. Hope we're saving it for Saturday.
Yeah, hopefully from your perspective. We've had Mr. Luke, who is the Gateshead supporter. Hello, Luke, the Gateshead fan here. Hoping for a Gateshead win from you. Mr. Walsh, nice to see you again. You beautiful people. Thank you. And, yeah, up the Geordies, up the Geordie land. We've also had Luke's coming, and then you will lose. And then we've had Lucas who's coming and said, and then you will lose 8-0 next Saturday, Mr. Luke.
Impressive.
Yeah, a bit of banter there in the chat. Next game we will have a look at. Let's have a look at your game, Luke, as you are here now. Gateshead versus Dorking. 2 sides that were promoted this season. What's your take on this game?
I think this is a very interesting game, to be fair. Gateshead will be looking to try and close the gap on Dorking in a way, because Dorking are really slipping into that relegation fight, to be honest. Their form's not been great as of late. Got a random pop up on the screen. Someone wanted to say hello. But I think Dorking can edge this. Will they edge it? I don't know, because Gateshead have got some attacking threat now with Danny Elliott. They've just signed Castro from, I would say, Notts County. Well, he's transferred from Notts County basically over to Gateshead. So they've got some very good signings in their team. Dorking cannot defend for their lives. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, and yeah, it's hard to separate the two sides.
Yeah, I seem to have lost it, so I'll try and get that up very, very soon. But just my quick take on the Gateshead v Dorking side. Dorking like to score a lot of goals, but like I said, concede an eccentric amount at the moment. Gateshead, they look a different team since Elliott came into the side, obviously on loan from Boreham Wood. Will Boreham Wood recall him? That is the question. But he seems to be loving his football at the moment at Gateshead. They're a side that for the majority of the season, said I think will go down. They are still in that relegation place, the final relegation place at the moment, 21st. But you can't fault the form at the recently. They are unbeaten. If you do include the FA Trophy, they are unbeaten in the last 5 games. In the league, their wins away from home at York, a point at home to York, a draw away at Barnet, and I was quite surprised by that, to get a point away at a side like Barnet, who obviously on form themselves at the moment, shows character. And I think having someone like Elliott, who's prolific at the moment for Gateshead, adds a lot. And I've always said, if a side's got a prolific goal scorer, you will survive the National League. And I honestly feel that Gateshead will, if they carry on how they're doing. Yes, there are some big clubs down there that are also improving themselves, like Oldham, who are also down there. But from my perspective, I think there's enough there for Gateshead to survive this season. So, yeah, I'll try to get it up on the screen as soon as possible. But the next game that we will have a look at then, if I can just think about which game it was I was going to talk about, it is Wrexham, Maidstone versus Wrexham. Now, the big question talk is about Chesterfield versus Notts County this weekend. Wrexham can, of course, go top if they do win games in hand, and they have 2 games in hand on Notts County. In the next 2 games for Wrexham are, of course, Maidstone and Gateshead away from home which are 2 winnable games in my opinion. So we could see in the upcoming weeks that Wrexham do go top if Chesterfield Notts is a draw or Notts County do lose. What's your take on this game? Because it's quite an interesting one.
It's a game that Wrexham should 100% be winning, but it is a potential banana skin game because Maidstone do play on that 3G surface, and although Wrexham did unbelievable at Dorking, there is a potential chance for it to affect the way that Wrexham will be playing. Wrexham's away form isn't always the greatest as well, so there is a chance that Wrexham could play poorly and at worst get a point, but realistically, Wrexham are going to win, aren't they?
Yeah, I think for Wrexham, I think it's a game that, like I've said, I think for a lot of the sides, you have to keep winning. You have to keep on the backs of Notts County and hope that they do drop points. And of course, they have recently, and they win the games in hand. They will go top. Away from home at a Maidstone side that ship a lot of goals without a manager at the moment, I'd be expecting Wrexham to comfortably win this game. However, it doesn't always work like that. But I think Maidstone, they seem quite vulnerable in the box at the moment when you see a lot of the goals that they concede. I think Palmer, Mullin, they have the potential to have a field day in this game. And I think with the additions of Andy Cannon, who's come into the side, I'd be expecting Wrexham to win this game quite comfortably. I'd probably go for, you know what, quite extreme, but a 3-0 Wrexham win away from home. What would your prediction be on this game?
It's a tough one because, like I was mentioning before, it is a potential banana skin where Wrexham go into that game thinking, oh, this is going to be a piece of cake. We battered them at the race course. We're going to go into this game, we're going to walk it. And then Maidstone could get an early goal and they're thinking, oh, God, this really isn't going well. Saying that, it's not going to happen. And realistically, Wrexham are going to score at least 3 or 4 goals. So I'm going to go 4-1 Wrexham.
Do you think that Maidstone simply lack quality to survive this season? Or do you think there's still something there for them to survive? Or do you think that they are going to go down, unfortunately?
I think that they're just, the quality in their team is just nowhere near good enough. You look at the teams above them, they have those players that you can see them having a chance to survive them. But I just look at Maidstone, you look at Scunthorpe, and you think there's no chance in hell that you guys are going to be staying up.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I think Scunthorpe, the side that I've felt throughout the season would survive, and they're struggling themselves. And that's another game that I would like to talk about is Solihull Moors versus Scunthorpe. Solihull, a side that are out of form at the moment and have been for quite a while now, and I think narrowly blowing their chances of getting into the playoffs, which was seemed confident that they could compete with your Nottses and your Chesterfields and your Wrexhams at the start of the season, but that hasn't seemed to be the case since, of course, that 1-0 defeat to Halifax a couple of months ago now. They've been out of form, and I think this is a game for Solihull where you need to win, and there's a lot of pressure because Scunthorpe haven't won a game away from home for, I think, is it over 2 years now since Scunthorpe last won a game away from home? It screams goals, does this game? That's something I will say. What's your take on it?
I think it's going to be a very weird game, and also that is a different way of describing the fixture. But Solihull Moors only 1 win in 10, that 1 win being over Oldham, and Scunthorpe are rock bottom of the table. Do you think that they're going to have to start fighting at some point? And yeah, it's just Solihull desperately need a win. You think last season they were 15 minutes away from being promoted to the Football League, and now they find themselves mid-table the following season.
It's demoralising, isn't it, when something like 100%. That happens?
I mean, they are without Sabara, and I think he is an unbelievable player. So when you're missing one of your key players, that really can affect your form, as it's shown that it has. And I don't know if he'll be back for this game. If he's back for this game, then I would be back in a Solihull win. But without that, you could almost see a draw happen in this game.
It's so tight at the bottom at the moment. You know, if Scunthorpe did somehow pull off a win in this game, they could go all the way up to, obviously up to 22nd, but there'd only then be a couple of points. Well, they could go up to 22nd actually, but yeah, they could only be 2 points out of getting survive you out of this playoff doom. And you look at them; they haven't won an away game all season. But if they were to win an away game, I think this is that potential has to be where they could get a win in this game because Solihull are leaking at another side that are leaking a lot of goals at the moment, out of form. You're wanting payback as well because of what happened last time at home to Solihull, where Solihull came from behind to win. It does scream goals to me, this game, and I think it'd be a big statement to say, especially with all the speculation at the moment. Players may not be fully understanding about what's going on at the league at the moment. They might not be focused on their football because of what's going on off the field. Players may not be getting paid. So, yeah, there's a lot of pressure on Solihull being at home. Scunthorpe away from home have no pressure at all in this game. Players are not paid. Some players may be disinterested. But if there was a game for me where Scunthorpe did get something or even a win, this is a game where I wouldn't say in the slightest be surprised, but it's a game that wouldn't surprise me if Scunthorpe managed to pull off a result here. And would it be wrong of me to go for Scunthorpe United win when they're 24th in the league?
Well, it's going to happen eventually. So you could look like an absolute genius, or you could look like an idiot. So it's your choice.
Well, yeah, when it comes to Solihull, I do look like an absolute idiot, to be honest. I put them as my title challengers at the start of the season and look at them now in 13th
I think we all did.
But for me, yeah, I'm going to go for a Scunthorpe win. I'm going to put it out there. Chat, say what you like.
No.
Yeah, I'm going to go for, I think there'll be goals. I think Scunthorpe United will go 3-0 up. Don't ask me why. I think they've got a decent player.
Oh, no.
It may be Lavwy's last game for Scunthorpe if his contract expires and other clubs sniffing around as well. But he's got a hat-trick in his last game for Scunthorpe. I think he'll get on the score sheet. Yes, without Natal now. It just screams goals to me though. This game, I think they'll go 3-0 up, and then in my opinion, I think Solihull will come back and it'll be 3-2 in the end. Final score. Yeah, say what you like, people. Solihull fans, you may be in the chat. Bit of a bold prediction, but if you do clip that, and I am right, you can call me a genius or say that I've just got a lot of luck. But yeah, that's my prediction for that game. I honestly feel that it does scream goals to me, and I think Scunthorpe eventually are going to get this win. And a potential banana skin like Solihull Moors away from home, for me, has that potential to get something out of this game. The next game then, now this is another game that I think's quite underestimated. Working third in the league at the moment, Barnet a fifth, two sides comfortably in the playoffs at the moment. Barnet, their form that they are on, look a strong side. Working another side that are on form. I think they did well to deal with what was going on at Scunthorpe away from home, to just carry on and get the win in that game. You know, you look at some of the results: the double over Aldershot, the win against Dagenham away, the 2-0 win against Scunthorpe away from home too. But you look at Barnet on the other hand, and their form at the moment. You have to go back to the 1st of November since they were last defeated, and that was at home against Southend. You have to go back to the 8th of October since they last were defeated away from home, and guess who that was against? Wrexham.
Tell me.
Wrexham, the 7-5, and they scored 5 goals away from home that game. So they look a very strong side, Barnet. A side that have gone under the radar, in my opinion. Started strong. Everyone expected them to fall off, especially when Mason Clark left the club. But Nicky Kabamba, he's made the thumbnail this week. 13 goals this season. Pritchard behind him on 8. They've got goals in the team, and they're
100%.
swiftly improving defensively at home. You know, you look at them recently; they haven't conceded more than 1 goal. I think you have to go back, if I'm correct. Yeah, they haven't conceded more than 1 goal in a league match since the Wrexham game. So that speaks values of them defensively, that they're improving defensively significantly, and they're also scoring a lot of goals, and they look a force. And I think for now, I'd be expecting Barnet to stay in the playoffs. Is that something that you would agree with? Do you think they're side that are going to fall off, or do you think they can get in the playoffs and secure a playoff spot this season?
I think Barnet are comfortably a playoff side. They are 100% nailed on to be one of those 4 extra. Obviously, I don't think they'll break into the top 3, but 4th to 7th, I can see them finishing anywhere in those spots. Barnet, they have a prolific goal scorer in Nicky Kabamba, as you said. Pritchard behind on 8. They score goals for fun. One thing I will say about Barnet is they do love a late goal. They got a late goal against Bromley. They got a late goal against Boreham very recently. So I think Barnet will comfortably be in the playoffs, and I bet them to get another late goal in this game. But we'll get to that.
What would your prediction be for this game then?
I hate talking about Woking because I never ever want to back Woking, but the form that Woking are on at the minute is unbelievable. Reece Brown scores goals for fun. They're defensively solid. Don't concede many goals. They score. They've got a very good goal difference, as it shows here on 22. They're level on goal difference with Chesterfield. So realistically, you should be backing a Woking win here. But if anyone's ever watched my videos, I never back Woking to get a win. So I'm going to be backing Barnet to win this 2-1.
I'm going to be backing Woking. Barnet's away form's a little shaky this season. Woking at home, 5th best home record in the division this season. I think there's players like you mentioned, Gregor Cox, another player, Reece Brown, Padraig Hammond as well, coming up with a few crucial goals recently as well for Woking too, and also adds that experience in the dressing room. I'd be expecting Woking to win this game. I think there's going to be a point where Barnet won't win a game, and I think it'll come against a good side like Woking, and it will take a good performance from Woking. I'd be going for a Woking win. I'm going to be backing them, so I'll disagree with you on that one. But yeah, I think Woking will be able to get the 3 points in this game and keep that pressure on sides above them and potentially secure a place in the top 3 this season because, yes, Chesterfield have games in hand on them, but they're competing with those sides. They certainly are. The one side that I feel are good enough to compete with your Wrexhams, your Notts Counties and your Chesterfields this season. We'll move on to the next game now. I forgot to do a prediction for Gateshead v Dorking. I'll back Gateshead. Luke's come in the chat, so I'll back Gateshead for this game. I'll go for a 2-1 Gateshead win. What's your prediction?
As a famous Mark White once said, "You never write off the Wanderers." And I love you, Luke, but I'm going with a 2-1 Dorking.
Yeah, unlucky, Luke. Yeah, I'll back you there. I think Gateshead will win that game. The next game that we'll look at then, Oldham v Southend. Southend, the speculation's back. It's happening again. Wind-up petitions like what Scunthorpe are going through. There's a Twitter page that's going around now saying 41 days until Southend go into liquidation. That's the date today, 41 days until they do if nothing changes, apparently. But you have to respect them. I think it shows a lot from the players from Southend to be 6th in the league, the best season that they've had since they've been relegated. Obviously, they've only spent the 2 seasons in the league, but they look a very strong side. And I think Southend players, you speak to them about it, they talk little about the current situation. The manager doesn't speak too much about it. And they're just getting on with it. A great example for me of a side that's getting on with it. And you never know if they didn't have these issues at the moment where they could be in the league. Oldham, though, improved. I have to give it to them. I don't think the FA Trophy is one of their main aims, so you probably, from Oldham's perspective, forget about that game. But a win against Dorking away from home, 5 goals away from home. It's a long time since they've scored 5 goals, even at home for Oldham. And I think to get a point against Notts County, 2 goals in that game too. They've got a lot of good strikers as well, Oldham. It wouldn't surprise me if Oldham got something out of this game. What's your take on this?
Yeah, I completely agree. Oldham, previously before Dorking, only had scored 2 goals away from home in the last year. So to score 5 against Dorking, all those fans must have been having heart attacks. But it's a tough one because Southend are a very good side, but all of those problems off the pitch, being only 41 days away from liquidation, it could be playing on the players' minds massively, whether they're going to try and just get out of Southend because they could be losing their job if they're already looking for other clubs, etc., etc. So yeah, I think the off-the-field issues will impact Southend. I think they will finish in the playoffs as long as they are still a club come the end of the season. But given Oldham's recent form, I definitely reckon they could get something out of this.
How amazing would it be? And I know it's a big if Southend could get promoted to the Football League with the current issues that they're facing, and how much of a benefit do you think that could have on them in the long term?
Oh, 100%. For me, Southend are the best away fans in the league. So to be losing a club with the stature of Southend would be gutting, especially for all their. It's not just for their fans, but for just football in general. You never ever want to see a club go into liquidation, no matter who you support. It's supporters' worst nightmare. So hoping everything goes well at Southend. But yeah, Southend being the team that gets promoted, that would be an unbelievable story, to be honest. I'm surprised they'd have a documentary coming out.
Yeah, there's been talk. Well, there's been a lot of talk about why Southend haven't had a documentary made on them, because there's been so much stuff going on in the last couple of years there. I don't know why they wouldn't want to make a documentary on him, but I think it's amazing to see that. I was looking online earlier, and apparently Southend, when they play Scunthorpe, both sides are going to come together for that game and protest against the owners together. I think that's a lot of character from both set of supporters, and I think it's a great thing for both supporters to do. Based off this game and the football side of things, though, I think Oldham recently improved. Southend, long way to go to Oldham. I'd be going for a draw. I think Oldham will get something out of this game. Southend, although they are strong this season, good defensively, they don't particularly score too many goals. I'd be going for a 1-1 draw, in my opinion, for this game. Prediction then, Kobe?
It's a tough one, because you look at the recent form, and Oldham surprisingly have better form going into this game, which is a sentence I never thought I'd ever be saying, given recent times. But I think I'm going to have to agree with you, and I never predict draws, but I think this is going to be a weekend for the draws. So IKEA are going to be having a happy weekend. But yeah, I'm going 1-1.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that one then. The next game, and I do believe it is the last game to predict before we have one more after this, but it is Yeovil v Altrincham. Yeovil suffered a 4-1 defeat to Bromley away from home, back on home turf though now, and I think Yeovil this season have been slightly stronger at home. Altrincham, they are a dark horse and a very, very good side this season. Just look at the form here in the last 5 games. I think you probably have to go even further back to actually really show how good they have been this season. Altrincham in recent weeks, of course, considering how poorly started. Losing Ryan Colclough, though, is a big loss to Chesterfield. Just a bit on that, how much of a big loss do you think it really is for Altrincham that? And do you think it is going to affect the form?
I think it's going to affect them. I wouldn't say massively, but when you lose your star man, the player that's been your star man for years, it's going to hurt you massively. Not only as a team, but as a fan base. You build such an emotional connection to the player, and see your player go. It's never nice as a club. But yeah, he was one of their main sources of creativity and goals. So I think it will affect them. I do still see them getting a result out of this game. I remember when Aldershot played them, they were bottom of the league. So to find themselves in 10th is just an unbelievable.
It was the first win of the season, wasn't it, against Aldershot?
Yeah, and to find them in 10th with a chance of sneaking into I don't think they'll sneak into first. I think they will fall off. But to see them doing this well, surely you've got to back them.
These odds can't be accurate because they're backing Yeovil to win this game. 11-5 for the draw, and 13-10 for Altrincham to get a win in this game. But I'd be backing Altrincham, in my opinion. Away from home, I think they're on such good form at the moment. I think the players that they've still got to the disposal, Con Clark, obviously, who's on loan from Fleetwood's a very, very good player, in my opinion. Defensively, Malarkey, another player that's still there. A strong side, and I think a good manager like Phil Parkinson recently knocked Wrexham out of the FA Trophy. Yes, I think not a full-strength Wrexham side, but to still knock a Wrexham side out of the FA Trophy, I think it speaks volumes about Altrincham, considering a lot of sides have struggled against Wrexham this season. I think away from home, it'll be a win for Altrincham, in my opinion. I'm going to go for a 2-0 Altrincham win. The next game we have is Maidenhead United v Dagenham. Just a bit on that Altrincham v Maidenhead game recently. Maidenhead took the lead, and I think it spoke a lot of spoke values about Altrincham to get the win in that game. when they went 1-0 down, and obviously Maidenhead then equalised when it was 2-2. But Maidenhead was a side that I would say never say die attitude, and always a hard side to play against, no matter who you are. And I think Dagenham will find it tough going to somewhere like Maidenhead, even though they are in form. It will be such a Maidenhead thing to do to pull off a result in this game. What's your take on this?
I think this is going to be an interesting game. Obviously, Dagenham and Redbridge finally find themselves in the playoffs, where I think they finished 8th in the 2 previous seasons. So to see them getting up into the playoffs, it's nice to see as a Dagenham and Redbridge fan. But Maidenhead, they always just try and draw you into such a scrappy game. If Dagenham and Redbridge can avoid being drawn into that scrappy game at one of the smallest pitches I think I've ever seen in my life, I think Dagenham and Redbridge will just have too much quality on the pitch. Likes of Josh Walker, Junior Marias, sniffing around. I think Dagenham and Redbridge are going to win this.
Yeah, Dagenham in 7th place at the moment will be wanting to secure a playoff spot come the end of the season. Another side that have been quite inconsistent, seem to have improved recently. Maidenhead out of form at the moment, but like I've said, they are the sort of side to get something in this game. For me, Dagenham score a lot of goals away from home. I'd still be backing Dagenham. Like you said, Josh Walker, Paul McCallum, another name. Yes, not being as prolific as we expected this season, but he's still a very strong player. Junior Murray has been the star man for them this season. Josh Walker, Balanto, another player to add. I think, honestly, away from home at somewhere like Maidenhead, small pitch, I think good sides would get the job done, and I believe Dagenham are a good side. I think I'm going to go for a 2-1 Dagenham win away from home. Now, we're on to the big game now, I believe. I think we haven't missed one. I'm hoping we haven't. But Chesterfield V Notts County. There's a lot to talk about with this game. We could probably do a separate video on this because of the current form. Well, Chesterfield sit 4th in the league. Notts County are top. Obviously, Wrexham are just behind them and have games in hand. There's a lot of pressure on Notts County in this game, but you look from a Chesterfield perspective, you'd probably say, is this the last chance for them to still be in the title race?
Yeah, I really think it is, to be honest, because if you look there, they do have the games in hand, but if they win those 2 games in hand, then they still find themselves points short of Wrexham, where Wrexham and Notts County barely drop points. As you see a draw here or there, but Notts County have lost 1 game all season, and that was away at Dorking. Wrexham have lost 2 games all season, and that was against Notts County and Chesterfield. So I think this is almost now or never for Chesterfield to be in that title race, because Wrexham and Notts County, they don't lose. And I think Chesterfield will be probably going for this, especially after the upset in the FA Cup, where I think that they got robbed against West Brom. They did face a pummeling in the replay, but we're going out of a point to prove.
If Chesterfield do win the games in hand, they can, of course, they would go up to 55 points. That's on if they do win them. The games in hand on Wrexham, that is. Of course, there's obviously Notts County as well. Add another 6 onto that, 61 points. So if Chesterfield's in theory are only 1 point behind Notts County, obviously you'd rather have points on the board if you are a Notts fan than, of course, have games in hand. Yeah, it's a big game in my opinion. I look at both sides, both got quality. We had a question that came in. I'll quickly read it out now so I don't have to go back onto the software. But it came and it said, do you think the pressure has got to Langstaff? No doubt in his quality, but 0 in 3 and 1 in 7. What's your take on that?
I don't think the pressure's got to him at all. I think Notts County just don't have to rely on Langstaff. They've got such good quality that they can get goals from all across the pitch. So you do get that time you're like, Erling Haaland hasn't scored in the whole of 2023, and obviously they're a bit different because Erling Haaland's doing it in the Premier League, but you do have prolific goal scorers having those games where they don't really tend to find the back of the net, and then it's like Langstaff scored 2 in the fixture last time against Chesterfield, so he'll be back definitely.
Looking at some statistics here, without a clean sheet, 7 games without a clean sheet for Chesterfield. More than 2.5 goals, 66. More than 2.5 goals from Notts' perspective is 5-6. Both teams to score 5-6. First to concede, Chesterfield are the favourites, the first to concede. Less than 4.5 cards is 5-6. Less than 4.5 cards from Notts' perspective is 6-2-6-2. It's really interesting. This game, it's a big one, and like you said, you may say if Chesterfield don't get anything out of this game, they are out of the title race, because what you've got to remember is Chesterfield are actually undefeated against Notts County and Wrexham this season. They got a point against Notts County and they beat Wrexham. Obviously, both of those, Notts County was away, good point there, and obviously a win at home to Wrexham too. You're at home now against Notts County, a good point away, but you'd be expecting to win this game. Would you say from Chesterfield's perspective, you have to win this game?
100%. If, like we were saying previously, if they want any chance at being in the title race, they're no longer in the cup competition, so their full focus is on the league. So they'll be going for this thinking, if we win this game, we are still the chance. But if we don't win this, then it is just relying on the downfall of the other teams. So this is realistically the only game where it's in their hands to go out with a point to prove live on the BT Sport cameras.
It's good to see from Notts' perspective is that Notts' away form is as good as their home form, where Chesterfield it's slightly different. Chesterfield obviously have the third best home form in the division, but the fourth best away, slightly less points as well there. It's hard to predict a game like this. I think both sides, like we've said, Langstaff, although he hasn't scored recently, he's still a prolific goal scorer, and I think you've got other players around him too. Even if you took him out of the team, I'd still expect Notts going into this game. I wouldn't say they'd be too weakened with Ruben Rodriguez, Kedwin Scott, another player to add to that. Chesterfield, Jeff King, big player for them. Gets in with a lot of goal contributions, good defensively too. Yeah, it's a difficult one to predict. I'm going to put the pressure on you, Kirby. What's your prediction for this game?
It's so tough because there's just an unbelievable amount of talent on display here. I predicted so many draws. No, I'm gonna predict a win. I'm gonna predict a Chesterfield home win here. I'm gonna say 2-1 to Chesterfield. I think they'll be really up for this game. They've already beaten Wrexham at home, so I reckon they'll do the same against Notts County. Whether they'll challenge for the league's a different question, but I think Chesterfield are going to win this.
I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I think it'll be tight, and I think it's maybe I'm a bit of a cop out maybe to predict a winner, but I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw in my opinion. I'll tell you we'll score first. I think Chesterfield will score first at home, and Notts will equalise. But just to wrap up the table at the moment, obviously Notts keeping that lead. Wrexham can obviously pounding on them, have games in hand too. Working third, Chesterfield doing well. Barnet, Southend and Dagenham make up the playoffs. Bromley, Wealdstone, Altrincham all behind them looking to break into the playoffs, followed by Eastleigh, Boreham and Solihull. York and Halifax have a bit of work to do to recover a playoff spot. Well, break into the playoffs from Halifax's perspective. Dorking 16th and 17th, Aldershot and Maidenhead 18th. I think we'd all agree that they're safe from relegation this season. Maybe the relegation scrap is Yeovil 19th, Oldham 20th, 21st Gateshead, 22nd Torquay, 23rd Maidstone, and struggling Scunthorpe United at the bottom of the league on 19 points. That more or less wraps up then the podcast for this week. Kirby, it's been a pleasure to have you on once again to preview all the upcoming National League games. We'll have to catch up very, very soon to do another podcast too. Please, to everyone that has also tuned in, please like and subscribe. Once again, thank you for tuning in. If you are watching this as a video, do the exact same and leave a comment below. Kirby, once again, thanks for joining me. And we'll see you all next time. Bye for now.